Going. All right, everybody, welcome. So today we are going to discuss buyer consultations. It's always it's a fun topic of discussion, and we're going to get into it for the next hour. My name is Ron Lugashi with the Zamir Group, Keller Williams. I am a buyer specialist on that team. Our team happens to be the top team in the entire MLS, and not just for this year, but for the past 6 years. So that's our kind of, you can see the numbers year over year. And I am the top producing buyer's agent, units and volume. We do cover Northern Jersey. And this year to date, we've already surpassed 130 million. So we should have a better year than last. Now, what that means to you, being here, well, I get to speak to a lot of buyers, have experiences with a lot of buyers, have meetings, a lot of buyers, a lot of conversations with buyers. That allows me to share those experiences with you to provide you value, to help shorten your learning curve, to help you grow, help you learn, work less, make more, and it sounds good. So let's get this going. So we're going to talk about buyers consultations today. I'd like to start off with a quote. It's a Conrad Hilton quote. Success seems to be connected with actions. So people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. How does that relate to our occupation that we've chosen, the career that we've chosen, this line of work we've chosen for ourselves called real estate? Well, there's one thing I know with 100% certainty, and I can guarantee you that we will have, including myself, more frustrating experiences than successful ones, and it's just, we have to keep going. So that's how it relates to us. We're always getting better with every conversation, with every meeting, with every experience. We do get better. So let's do that. Let's do just that. Let's get better. So let's talk about buyer consultations. All right. So we're going to talk about the benefits of buyer consultations. Before we actually get into that type of conversation and the conversation about structure and value proposition and how they all connect, I like to ask a pretty simple question. And regardless if I have 8 people on or 80 people on, the answer to the question is always the same. So I always like to ask, well, how many people in the audience before obtaining their real estate license purchased a home and used a real estate agent? And then I get about half the audience members in attendance. They raise their hand and then ask the follow-up question. And the follow-up question, it enlightens us. It makes us aware of many things. And the follow-up question is always, well, how many of those agents sat you down, discussed the buying process, spoke about the market conditions, and answered all the real estate related questions you have? And the answer is always the same. It doesn't matter how many people are sitting in the room. It's usually between 0 and 1. Now, that tells me a lot. And with that, more than anything else, it tells me that we have an opportunity, and we have an opportunity to be better than the majority of your traditional buyer's agents out there just by doing one thing. That one thing is called a buyer consultation, also known as a buyer presentation, also known as a discussion, whatever you want to call it. It is a benefit to us. So my question is, what's preventing your traditional buyer's agent from conducting one of these discussions? Let me minimize the screen for a second so I can actually see you guys. What are some of the reasons or excuses that you think that your traditional agent is not conducting this type of discussion, this type of presentation, this type of consultation? What would prevent them from doing it? Go ahead, Shirley.
Maybe they don't realize the importance of it. Maybe they feel like they don't have the time to do it.
Yeah, and I love those reasons, and they're very common. And I always like to respond with, well, what takes longer? What takes longer? What do you think, Shirley? It takes longer to show 30 homes, or it takes longer to spend 30 minutes discovering what they're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. Showing homes or properties that aren't relevant to what they need.
Yeah, and I always like to say our job is not to show them the most amount of homes. Our job is to show them the right ones, is to discover what they're looking for and show them the right ones. The most valuable time thing that somebody has is time, and we don't want to waste it. And you don't get a medal or a cookie for showing them the most homes. So it does, when we say oh, we don't have enough time, well, if it's going to take you longer to show them all the homes, it's going to take a lot less times if we just sit them down, discover what they're looking for, find out what they're looking for, and just take them right to it. So that reason or excuse doesn't really work. And what else? What are some other reasons or excuses that a buyer's agent or a traditional buyer's agent would say or use, or it's preventing them from conducting a buyer consultation? What do you guys think? I can share with you. So I teach this class pretty often. A common one is, well, we don't know what to say. Right? Makes sense, right? A lot of agents and a lot of new agents, even veteran agents, regardless of how much time they spent already doing this in this line of work, they may not know what to say. Well, let me ask you guys, do we not discuss the buying process every single day with consumers, prospects, anybody? And do we not discuss and speak about the market conditions every single day? And do we not answer real estate related questions every single day? And the answer is yes to all. Yes, yes, and yes. Well, that's exactly the structure of a buyer consultation. So we know exactly what to say. Now, here's the best part. The best part about that is that it doesn't matter what you say, you cannot get it wrong. Now, what makes me say that? The person sitting across from you or standing across from you doesn't know what you're supposed to say. So you can't get it wrong. You see how that works? Now, I'll share with you that I forget to say things all the time. You know what? I forgot to say that. I forgot to do that. I forgot to tell them that. And that's okay. They don't know. You can always come back later. The next conversation you have, you can mention it. So you cannot get this wrong. Now we're going to talk about structure a little bit more in detail moving forward. I have a slide dedicated just to that. So you can visualize it and see that it's actually not that difficult to internalize. It's not as overwhelming as you might think. Oh, how am I going to internalize or remember this huge, long conversation? Well, it's actually not that overwhelming when you break it apart, when you realize, oh, it's okay. These are the different highlights that we touch upon. Oh, I can do that. I can do that. We'll get to it. So mentioning what's preventing us or your traditional agent from conducting a buyer consultation, you see, it's better to do one than not to do one. And there's some clear benefits. Let's talk about the benefits. I'm going to get back to the slideshow, and we'll get into it. So let's talk about benefits. And a lot of the benefits are actually listed in front of you. I'm just going to simplify it for you by conducting a buyer consultation, by conducting a presentation like this one. We are increasing the likelihood they work with us and nobody else, right? Because since nobody else is doing it, as soon as we meet with them, and when they're leaving that appointment, that meeting, wherever it may be, they're thinking, I don't want to be working with anybody else. I don't know half as much as I thought I did. So a lot of consumers think that they can do things on their own. They know things on their own until they meet with an expert that communicates all the necessary or important information, and they realize they realize quickly that they don't necessarily know everything that they should, and they're glad to have met you for it. So that's the short version. The longer version of what the benefit of doing a buyer consultation is, it helps build rapport, trust, loyalty, communicate expertise, confidence, competence, and it allows us to set the expectations. You have to remember, they do not do this every single day, day in and day out. We do this day in and day out. So we can't assume that they know everything that we know. Now, if we do not set the expectations, they will set their own expectations. And what happens when somebody sets their own expectations? At times, they may be too high, higher than realistic. So we want to be the ones to set the expectations so they know what to expect moving forward. And I'm going to give you a tip. If you want to be better than 99% of the agents out there, all you have to say is one thing. At the end of every conversation, say, this is what happens next. They will not remember everything that you discussed during your buyer consultation. I guarantee it, maybe 10% of it. If you always tell them what happens next at the end of every conversation, they'll appreciate it. They'll feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident with the whole buying process. That's what we want. We want comfortable and confident buyers. We don't want anxious buyers. It's our job as buyers agents to lower their anxiety, typically with information and knowledge and creating a vision and a path that helps relieve them, alleviate any concern, anxiety. Not that it's completely gone, but it does make them feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident. So set the expectations that they should what they should expect of you and what you should expect of them, and get everybody on the same page. Let them know what happens next. And some other benefits, of course, we're going to educate them about the buying process. We're going to answer any real estate related questions they have. And when I say emotions that make them act, it goes back to a program that we have here at KW. It's called BOLD. So this is a BOLD law. Logic makes them think. Emotions make them act. I found that real estate agents, including myself, we don't use enough emotional statements. We're always working more off logical statements. And some emotional statements could be simply, I'm going to take good care of you. I'm going to find you a home that you're going to enjoy for many years to come. Trust me. Those are emotional statements. There's no logic in them. Real estate agents in general don't use it enough, right? So there's one thing on here that's not on here, that is definitely a benefit of conducting a buyer consultation. It's handling as many objections as we can up front. So we're going to handle up to 90% of the objections up front so that we have a smoother transaction. Because if we don't handle the objections up front, then there will be surprises moving forward. It's all about, again, setting the expectations, letting them know what's to come and what it should look like, what this thing called the buying process should look like. Let's educate them. Let's handle those objections up front. Some common objections that buyers have in any market is one, of course, I don't want to overpay. It's as simple as submitting an offer. We have to prepare them for submitting an offer. We have to prepare them for selecting an attorney. We have to prepare them for what the inspection period looks like. Those are actually we're handling those objections up front so that they don't become issues later on. Have you ever had an accepted offer and there was, you're in a multiple offer situations and they haven't selected an attorney yet, and now they need to select an attorney? Or have you ever had a client that's wanted to select their own attorney, but their attorney didn't care that it was multiple offers and then they were changing the terms during attorney review, and of course you get kicked out? Or have you ever had an attorney that didn't have the rider ready, and it's 2 days later after the accepted offer and the seller and the listing agent are getting anxious? Or have you had a buyer come back with a whole inspection report and say, please address everything on the inspection report? So those are objections, and I call them objections because those are things that we can handle in a better way up front. So by having a discussion about the buying process and what to expect, we're handling those objections. I'm going to stop between each of the slides and ask you guys if you have any questions, anything you want me to discuss further before I go to the next slide. Is there any questions anybody has about anything I said until now? No? Awesome. That means I'm doing a good job. All right, so if you do have a question, just unmute yourself, ask the question, because if you don't, I'm going to keep talking because I like it. So let's go next. Let's talk about two different things now. Next. Click. Is it working? There we go. Too much. All right. Let's talk about value proposition. And then after we talk about value proposition, we're going to talk about structure and how everything connects. Now, when it comes to value proposition, I'm just going to pause right here. And I'm doing it so that we all understand, or we're all aware how important a buyer's agent value proposition is. And I'm going to do it with one simple question. What does it cost to hire a buyer's agent in the state of New Jersey? Can somebody tell me?
$0.
$0. So, Mr. or Miss Buyer, for the price of $0, would you like to hire an expert or an amateur? For the same price of $0, I'm going for an expert. I don't know about you guys. Now, the consumer, the public, what do they think when they think real estate agent? When you say real estate agent, what do they think? They're all the same, right? One's not necessarily better than another. So we have to educate them. We have to increase their awareness level around it. One of the scripts that I like is when it comes to their occupation. Mr. Buyer, you're a teacher, right? And are all teachers the same, or are some better than others? And they say, well, no, some teachers are better than others. It's like, that's right. It's the same thing with real estate agents. Some real estate agents are just better than others, and I'm one of the better ones. So I'm glad that we're meeting today, because I wouldn't want you in a weak moment to hire a weak agent. Let's go to work. So it's We have to increase their awareness level around the fact that not all real estate agents are the same as some brothers, and it's not costing them anything. I've had it plenty of times that late in the transaction, they're thinking, well, what do we pay you? I didn't cover the fact that it doesn't cost them anything in advance. And a lot of consumers don't know. They don't know that it doesn't cost anything. We have to cover that in the in the front end of the relationship, the front end of the conversations that we're having with the consumer. Not all consumers know what we know, and so a lot of times we assume that they know that it doesn't cost anything, but they don't necessarily know. So from experience, definitely want to cover that and make sure that everybody's on the same page. They know it doesn't cost anything. So if it doesn't cost anything to hire a buyer's agent in the state of New Jersey, then as a buyer, wouldn't we want to work with somebody who provides us the most possible value? And that's where value proposition comes in. So the more value proposition that somebody can provide a consumer, customer, client, buyer, whatever it may be, there's an increased likelihood they'll work with us. So it comes down to conversion. So let's talk about value proposition as a buyer's agent. What are some of them? So obviously, there's a list here in front of you. Expertise, knowledge, previewing homes, obtaining multiple offers, over communicating, negotiation skills, accommodation, vendor networks, off-market homes, preparation and guide, and understanding the local market. And there are a few other ones as well, but you can probably include them in some of these categories. And what we do know is that the majority of buyers end up hiring or working or choosing to work with the first agent they meet. A large percentage work with the first agent they meet. I think it's up to 70%. Yet we still need to get that face-to-face, and we still need to convert them from meeting to submitting offers and so on and so forth. So value proposition helps us with those conversions. And what I found was that the majority of agents don't have an issue identifying their value proposition. The challenge, the obstacle that the majority of agents have is in the communication of that value proposition. And this is how I found out when I asked them this one simple question. Now, I'm not asking you to answer it out loud, just in your head. If I ask you this question, what would you answer? Why should I hire you? Why should I choose you? Why should I work with you? What would you say right now? Think about that for a second. So you may know your value proposition, yet the difficulty is in the communication of. So I'm going to give you guys a tip, just an easy way to communicate it. And the way I like to communicate value proposition is with basically 3 different phrases. Would this be helpful to you? Does this benefit you? Is this a value to you? And what that sounds like is something like this. Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, would it be helpful to you if I saw every single home before you did? Well, yes. And Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, would it benefit you to work with a local expert? Well, yes. And Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, would it be of value to you if I provided you with a very good home inspector, appraiser, lender, handyman, plumber, electrician, landscaper, gutter guy, window guy, roofer, whatever you need? Would that be of value to you? Yes, great. So that's an easy way to communicate value. And that's what it sounds like when we're going down the list. We're looking to communicate as much value, and we're looking to obtain yeses, also known as compliance. And the more yeses we obtain, the closer we're pulling them towards us, and there's an increased likelihood that they will work with us because we're providing so much value. So that's what I found. I found that the majority of agents, or your traditional agent, just has a trouble communicating value proposition. And I will also say you don't need a dozen different value propositions. 1 or 2 will typically do the job. All right. So let's connect this with the structure. Let's go over the structure real quick. I want to show you guys how easy it is to internalize a buyer consultation script. Before we do, does anybody have any questions, input, comments, opinions? Anything you'd like to add? Something I missed? Awesome, good. All right, if you do, let me know. Let's go next. So structure. I leave this blank for a second because I like to use an analogy. And I always ask the question, we've all been in school and we've all had to write essays, and our teachers, they asked us for the essays to have a particular type of structure. And generally it was 5 paragraphs, at least, if not more. And the first paragraph was known as, help me out, what was the first paragraph typically called? Starts with an I. Introduction, right? So the introduction. And the last paragraph was called your conclusion, and the body, which you want at least 3 paragraphs, right? And that's the structure of an essay. Funny enough, that's the exact same structure of your most basic of buyer consultations, buyer presentations. It does have structure. So when we talk, in relation to a buyer consultation presentation, your intro is, well, tell me about yourself, right? And the close, you're going for the close, hire me, choose me, work with me. And in the body, what are your paragraphs? What are your points? Needs analysis. You're discovering what they're looking for, right? You're pre-qualifying, or in my case, it's a recap. I generally pre-qualify them before the meeting. I ask them all the necessary questions. And then, of course, we're discussing the buying process. And then, of course, we're also speaking about the market conditions. So those are your basic points. Can you add more points? Of course you can. You can make it a 20-point presentation. There's no rules. It's whatever works best for you. Now, what I also found is that there's different kinds of buyer consultations, presentations. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever works best for you. And many agents, a lot of times, they're just speaking most of the time, and the client, the consumer, is just listening. And sometimes agents are the ones asking questions, like maybe they're going down a questionnaire, and the client's speaking most of the time, just answering the questions. And sometimes there's visual slideshows, and some agents do a mix of everything. And there's different ways to do it. There's 100 different ways that you can conduct it. You can mix and match. You can definitely customize it. Yet you do want to cover certain points. And the needs analysis is a big one. The buying process is a big one. You definitely want to answer any real estate related questions they have. And I think the discussion of the market conditions is an important one as well. So we do this on a daily basis. We discuss the buying process. We speak about the market conditions. We answer any real estate related questions. We discover what people are looking for. So it should be pretty natural. It's just that maybe it was too overwhelming to think that we have to talk real estate for 20-30 minutes, but it's not really that overwhelming when you break it down. I said, okay, well, just tell me about yourself. What's something important about your family that I need to know? Oh, you're looking for this, and that. Oh, you're looking for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. You want to be next to the train. Okay, wonderful. Oh, you have 2 dogs. You need a fence for that dog. Oh, you work from home. You need a finished basement. Buying process, right? New Jersey has a very unique buying process. A lot of consumers don't know. So we're going to discuss these things with our clients, consumers, prospects, and then we will enlighten them, make them more aware, and make them more comfortable and confident just by doing so. Now, how does this connect with value proposition? Because they do connect. And it is really important to understand that the more value we communicate throughout this presentation, throughout this discussion, the more likely they will work with us. So when it comes to the value proposition, we're communicating value throughout our presentation, throughout our intro, throughout our body, throughout our close. And we're also obtaining yeses, right? Will this be of value to you? Will this benefit you? Will this be helpful to you? Yes. By the time you get to the close, it's an easy yes. And that's how the two connect, right? Any questions about anything I said so far? I speak really fast naturally. So if I missed anything or you wanted me to repeat something, that would be a good time. Okay, awesome. So what I'd like to do, and this, what I found is that the majority of agents, when you ask them to role play, they don't necessarily like it so much. It's a script practice, yet they have an easier time viewing or watching somebody else do it. And that makes them feel a lot more comfortable as well. So what I always like to do with these sessions is I like to do a quick role play. But for that, I need a volunteer to be a buyer just to say a few yeses. Would anybody be willing to just say a few yeses and volunteer for the next 15 minutes? And that's okay. I can actually do it with myself. I do it often while I'm driving in the car.
I'll do it if you'd like.
Yeah, sure, Mike. I'm going to do a quick role play. It's going to take anywhere from 15 to 17 minutes, depending on if you give me any objections or not. I'm going to cover all of these bases. I'm going to give you guys a quick tip right now. Before I even meet with them, I'm always doing something else first. So I'm handling objections. I'm also introducing myself. So when I typically schedule the appointment, it's over the phone. Scheduling the appointment for, let's say, Saturday at 10 a.m. or whatever it may be. As soon as I hang up the phone, which included the pre-qualification questions and everything, I'm going to my inbox. I'm going to my email. I'm composing an email. What's in that email? I call it an intro email. I'm introducing myself. I'm adding links to my reviews. At the bottom of that email, I'm attaching a copy of what an offer looks like. I'm also attaching a home buyer's guide, which covers the buying process. And I'm clicking, and I'm sending that over. Now, what have I done? It's a contact, and I'm providing them items of value, which is really, really important. It gives them the opportunity to review the offer before we walk into that appointment. Many of them don't, and also gives them the opportunity to review the home buyer's guide, which talks about the process, which the majority of them actually don't. It's only with your really C types, the very detail-oriented clients, they may read that stuff, but typically they'll walk into that meeting and I'll review it with them. Yet I'm handling an objection. What makes me say that? What your traditional agent, when is the first time they present that document known as an offer, as a purchase agreement, sales contract, whatever you want to call it? When is the first time your traditional agent is presenting that document to their buyers? Oh, you like this home enough to submit an offer on it? Great. Sign this legal document you've never seen before in your life for me. Now, why do I call what happens next an objection? Let me look over it. Let me think about it. Let me have my attorney review it. And it takes time. And what happens is during that time, in many of the markets that we're in, the homes are going to be gone. By the time they're ready to submit this, so sign the document, submit the offer. So we're going to handle that objection up front. So I do first thing, as soon as I schedule a meeting with them, I'm sending them an email. I'm sending them a copy of what it looks like. That gives me the opportunity to discuss it during the buyer consultation. Also, when they walk in, then they'll have a hard copy printed out for them as well. So let's get into it, Mike. The settings in my office, and I've already pre-qualified. I've already answered all the necessary questions. So I know a lot of information about you already and what you're looking for. So the needs analysis portion is going to be shorter. And this is also kind of a caveat, by the way. When you're dealing with a very strong seller's market with low inventory, not many options, your needs analysis will be shorter. They're non-negotiable. What's important to them has to be shorter, or else they're not buying a home. Now, if you're in a buyer's market and there's a wealth of options, your needs analysis will be longer. They have the ability to say, I want this, don't want this, but you can't be too picky if there's only 2 homes on the market in their price range, right? So, or else they're just not going to buy a home. So that's why the needs analysis in my market as well, I'm sure as yours, is a lot shorter than in many other markets across the country. So let's get into it, Mike. First off, I'm going to just remind everybody, we like to start our presentations with gratitude, right? Always start with gratitude, and then we get into it. So this is going to take about 15, 17 minutes. It should bring us to the end of the hour and should leave us a good 5 minutes for Q&A. Mike, you good to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it. All right, Mike, first off, I want to thank you for coming here, spending a little bit of time with me today. I really do appreciate it, and I trust you're going to get value out of today's meeting. The goal of today's meeting is to make you a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident by reviewing the buying process, by reviewing the market conditions, answering any questions you might have, and finding out what you're looking for. Sounds good?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. And Mike, did you get the email that I sent you after we spoke?
I did. I looked at it.
Okay, great. Did you have a chance to review it?
I just looked at it briefly.
Yeah, and that's okay. We'll cover it here as well. What I did send you, I sent you a copy of what an offer looks like and a copy of a home buyer's guide, which discusses or reviews the home buying process, which we're going to cover today. So is it okay if we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, yes, please.
Great. So the offer. in New Jersey, it's a very, very pro-buyer process, Mike. And there's a few different reasons why I say that. Yet the offer, that 13-page document that I sent you to review, feel free to submit as many of those as you want. Why? Because we're not committed to anybody or anything by signing and submitting one of these here in New Jersey. All it takes for me as your agent to withdraw an offer is to say thanks, but no thanks. We're going in a different direction. That's all it is. So you should feel very comfortable signing one of these. And in reality, we're only looking to communicate 3 things to the other party, the seller, which is sales price, down payment, and closing date. And all that is on page 2 and page 3. The rest of the pages, it's a lot of rules, regulations, and seller stuff to complete. Sound good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. So if you have any questions about this document, feel free to ask me. And that goes along with anything else that we're going to discuss today. If you want to ask me or forget to ask me at any point in time, feel free to reach out to me, text, email, message me, whatever you like. I'm pretty responsive. Okay. All right.
Sure.
So, Mike, is it okay if we discuss the what you're looking for very swiftly?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, you mentioned you're renting right now, and you're coming in from Queens, and you're looking to purchase something in the next few months by the end of the year, and you really want at least a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a garage and a basement. You're a family of 4. You have 2 dogs named Bingo and Hershey, and you're just looking for the right home in a good school district, and you commute once a week just to get to work. Is that about right?
That is correct.
Okay, great. And is there anything else that's important to you that I should know about your home, about your future home?
Ideally, there'd be a fenced-in backyard for the dogs.
Okay. And if there wasn't a fenced-in backyard, is that a deal breaker?
No, not at all.
Okay, great. So that definitely does increase our options. And when it comes to, you said you work from home a lot, and that's why you wanted the finished basement. Is the finished basement, is that critical, or is it okay if it's unfinished or partially finished?
No, it's okay if it's unfinished or partially finished.
Okay, great.
Not a do or
And
die.
wonderful. So is there anything else that I should know about you and your family?
No. The 3 bedrooms is the absolute must.
Okay, I got it. The majority of homes have at least 3 bedrooms. On a rare occasion, we'll see it 2. So we should be okay on that end. So Mike, is it okay if we review the buying process very quickly?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, I don't expect you to remember everything I'm about to say. That's also why I try to simplify things. And of course, I will always, Mike, every conversation that we have, I will always tell you what happens next. Would that be helpful to you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I like to simplify things so it's easy to remember. And here in New Jersey, let's just say we find you the right home, the perfect home, and we have an accepted offer. Now we're going to begin the actual transactional point of the buying process. And I like to simplify it into 3 separate phases, Mike. The first phase is your attorney review period. Your second phase, your inspection period, and your third phase, your mortgage contingency period. And then, of course, you're a homeowner. Is it okay if we talk about that a little bit more in detail?
Yes.
Great. So what you see in front of you is a breakdown of each individual phase. And the first phase, known as attorney review, we're going to need to hire a real estate attorney for that one. Is there anybody that you know you're going to be working with, or do you need a recommendation?
I'd love a recommendation.
Yeah, and we do over 300 transactions a year, and we work with many good attorneys. If I'm recommending somebody, they're going to take very, very good care of you. They're going to charge you a flat rate. They're going to be very responsive, and they do real estate day in and day out. It's the only thing they do. So trust it. If I give you a recommendation, they're going to take very good care of you. At least they better.
That's great. Thank you.
So would it be helpful if I sent that over an email form after we're done today?
That'd be wonderful.
Great. I'll do just that. So what we need to know about the attorney review period is it's used to come to agreement on all terms and conditions between the 2 parties. And how we do that, the attorneys are going to create a legal document called a rider. In that rider, you'll see a lot of clauses, and we're going to send those riders back and forth between the attorneys until both parties come to agreement. Now, what I need you to know is that during attorney review, any party can cancel for any reason, don't even need a reason. That includes buyer or seller. Now, what happens, the buyer could have a dozen different reasons why they would want to cancel, right? Maybe they decided they don't like the house anymore. Maybe they saw something better, maybe something personal. Who knows? There's a dozen different reasons why. Yet there's only one good reason why a seller would cancel. And that reason is maybe they got a better offer. And that does happen from time to time. Maybe somebody saw the house before we came to agreement. It took them time. The offer came in late. They came in stronger and higher than we did. Now all of a sudden it gets messy, and it may even cause us to lose the property. So it would benefit the buyer, us in this case, to complete attorney review quickly. Do you see why it benefits us to finish attorney review very quickly?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and that's also a good reason why you want an attorney that's very responsive, just to get us out of attorney review quickly and make sure that we can secure the property. Because once we complete attorney review, we're under contract. At that point, the seller can't cancel, only the buyer can cancel. But again, we're going to talk about that moving forward. Again, it's a very, very pro-buyer process compared to other states. The buyer is protected from really beginning to end with all kinds of different protections, and we're going to cover those protections. So yes, we want to complete attorney review quickly. Terms and conditions there, we're going to come to agreement via those riders, and any party can cancel for any reason. Theoretically, yes, we finished the attorney review, we came to agreement. We're now entering the second phase, the inspection period. Pretty self-explanatory, Mike. We're going to get a home inspector. That home inspector will conduct a home inspection. They'll provide us the report. At that point, you and me, Mike, we're going to review that report together. We're going to make a short list of any items that are of concern. We're looking for major items. And then we're going to communicate that list to your attorney, which will, of course, forward it to the seller's attorney. And this is a negotiation by all means. There's a little bit of back and forth. We're going to find a compromise, which is a win-win for both sides. And then we are going to move forward. Now, I get this question asked a lot. Well, what happens if buyer and seller cannot come to agreement on the inspection items? And well, again, it goes back to why this process is so pro-buyer. Mike, the buyer can cancel without penalty. Now, that's not our goal. Our goal is to get you into this home that you just, you envisioned yourself already in, you envisioned your furniture in. The outcome we're looking for is to close, and we're going to do our best. Yet I do need you to know this protection called the inspection contingency is your best protection in a transaction. So if we can't come to agreement, yes, buyer can cancel without penalty. Sounds good?
Yes, sir.
All right. And if you have any further questions, just stop me. I'll answer them. If not, I'll just keep going. Now, we're about 2/3 through the transaction. Mike, I didn't say anything about deposit. I didn't say anything about money exchanging hands. I didn't say anything about consideration. Did you notice that?
I did.
Yeah, again, why this process is so pro-buyer. You see, the additional deposit, we call it, it's due 10 days after completion of attorney review, typically. That's just the default on the offers, unless it's changed. So by then, we've conducted the home inspection. You see, your inspection contingency is 14 days, typically. That's the default on the offer after completion of attorney review, which means we're usually conducting the inspection before we even provide the deposit. And that's pretty pro-buyer. Now, again, I like to separate the two because a lot of buyers get confused. Well, what happens if I provided the deposit and we don't come to agreement on inspection contingency? Well, I said it before, Mike, buyer can cancel that penalty, which means you get to get your deposit back.
Understood.
Okay, great. So yes, we completed attorney review, we completed the inspection period, we're now providing the deposit, and we're entering the final phase of the buying process. I like to call it the mortgage contingency period. At this point, we're going to order the appraisal. The appraiser will come out, do the appraisal, provide the appraisal report to your lender. Your lender's underwriter will now review your whole file and provide us with what's called a mortgage commitment letter. I like to call it a conditional loan approval. It says, Mike, you've been approved for this property at this price. Provide us these listed conditions, and we'll give you full loan approval and a clear to close. So we're going to submit those conditions they're asking for as swiftly as we can, and we're going to get those magic words, clear to close, from your lender. We're going to schedule a closing day and time with your attorney, and you're going to be a homeowner. How does that sound? Sounds great. Yeah. And Mike, I'll tell you, I said it very quickly. I said it very fast, and it sounds smooth. Yet I will tell you the majority of transactions are not smooth. There's always ups and downs. I like to use the analogy. It's kind of like a roller coaster ride. There's a lot of ups and downs. But what I would like you to know is that I'm going to be there every step of the way, and I'm going to present you with the best options to help us move forward. Sounds good?
Yes.
Yeah, I will always have a solution for you. And of course, I'll present them to you, and then you'll make the decision how to move forward. I like to always say, you're the driver here. I'm the navigation system. So you're going to decide which path to take. I'm going to tell you which way to go. And if you skip a turn, that's okay. I'll recalculate. I will get you to the outcome you're looking for, which is to be in a home that you're going to enjoy for many years to come. Sounds good?
That easy, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So we spoke a little bit about the buying process. I'd like to discuss and cover the market conditions. Would that be okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great. So let's talk about the market conditions. Mike, do you know the difference between a seller's market and a buyer's market?
It'd be helpful if you explained it.
Yeah, sure. And in the seller's market, simply there's a lack of inventory. There's very few options. Sellers are getting what they're asking for, even more sometimes. And in a buyer's market, there's more options. Buyers have more leverage to negotiate. And right now, the market conditions that we're in is a funny market. And what makes me say that is because we're seeing product for that are considered seller market and product that's considered buyer's market at the same time. So I like to say it's really a tale of two products. There's the one product that is 90% of the product, 85 to 90% of the product is the one product, which is your overpriced, still getting activity, not getting any offers type product. And you have the other 10, 15%, which is priced correctly here today, multiple offers gone tomorrow type of product. And Mike, would you know which type of property you're walking into at any point in time?
I think it'd be, yeah, I think I'd understand that.
Yeah, and you know what, Mike, I'm going to make it so much easier for you because every house we walk into, I will tell you, Mike, not you, somebody else is willing to pay X for it. Would that be of value to you?
Yes, very helpful.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. You know, being an expert in the local market, I have that special ability where I can walk in and just tell you this is what somebody else is willing to pay. So all my previous clients have found that very, very helpful. They feel that it does reduce the anxiety because we don't want you to overpay. I don't want you to overpay. You don't want to overpay, do you?
No,
Of course not. Yeah. And do you know the difference between a salesperson and a consultant, Mike?
I don't.
Yeah, well, the salespeople, they're there to sell, right? They're going to try to sell you on something, and a consultant will advise. They'll present the different options to you, and you get to choose the best possible option. And Mike, we're consultants. I'm not here to sell you anything. When you walk into that right house, you'll know. I will advise you best I can. I'm going to save you time. My job is not to show you every single home on the market. My job is to listen to what you're looking for and take you right to it. And I'm always going to present you with the best path forward. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Yeah. And is it okay if we just touch upon what to do with open houses and for sale by owners for a second?
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Right. So there's different companies in real estate, right? And regardless of what company happens to be representing the seller, the listing agent, we have access to every single home. So, you know, feel free to go to as many open houses as you want. I'm going to provide you with some of my business cards. You can simply just hand it to the agent conducting the open house. And if you don't have a business card on you, it's okay just to sign in with my name. So when you're walking Hershey and Bingo, they're not calling you, bugging you for feedback. They'll call me and I'll answer all their questions. Okay?
Will do.
And when it comes to for sale by owners, likely we're in touch with all of them already. We have a pseudo relationship with them, and we're going to view it as any other resale in the same way. If you're looking to see a for sale by owner, we will schedule the meeting. We will negotiate on your behalf, and we'll get you to the finish line on those as well. They just happen to not be represented or be on the MLS. Now, there's a reason that you know, I ask that you give them my information, say we're representing you, and there's a reason I say let me handle dealing and negotiating with the sale by owners. And it goes back to the conversation we just had. Do you remember the two different products, the overpriced and the priced correctly?
I do, yes.
Yeah, so the majority of the listings happen to be overpriced, and the majority of for sale by owners happen to be overpriced too. Now, if you walk into an open house and you want to approach the agent conducting the open house or representing the seller, or directly to an owner for sale by owner, and let's just say theoretically the house is listed at 500,000, and not you, but only somebody else is willing to pay 470 for it. Do you think those sellers and those seller agents, do you believe that they will push you closer to that 500 they're asking for, or they'll promote your best interest like I will and negotiate on your behalf towards that 470? Which one do you think they're going to be doing?
I think they would be working for the seller, so they'd be.
Yeah, precisely. And that's exactly what I'm here for. I'm going to take good care of you. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay, wonderful. So we mentioned, we spoke about the conversation we had earlier, that you were going to put 20% down and you were pre-qualified with your mortgage broker already. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah, and you have a pre-approval in hand. You're good to go.
I do.
All right. What I don't remember is the company name. Is that a big bank or is that a mortgage broker?
I have an existing relationship with Citibank.
Okay, and what I do need you to know is in the price range that we're looking for, if it's not Citibank's like VIP type of product, then they're not likely to be providing you the best rates, fees, and customer service. So if you're looking for better rates, fees, and customer service, just let me know. I have some really, really good mortgage brokers, which tend to blow the banks out of the water at the price point that we're looking at.
I'd love to review that then. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the big banks, they're very good on jumbo loans. They're very competitive. Yet on the lower amounts, the mortgage brokers just do a much better job with providing you with better interest rates, fees, and customer service. So if you like, while I send you the list for the attorneys, I can also send you a list of highly recommended mortgage brokers, which will also take very good care of you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Did you have any questions about anything that we discussed until now?
No, I feel like you've covered everything.
Okay, great. And what I need you to know, Mike, is we're a team. We're a very large team. You're actually hiring for the price of $0, by the way. You're hiring not just any team, but the top team in the entire MLS. And you're actually hiring a group of 14 people. And for whatever reason, if there's a property that comes to market and we need to see it today, but I'm not available, then somebody else from my team will accommodate. Michael will be available. If Michael's not available, then Talia will be available. If Talia's not available, then somebody else. We're always going to be able to accommodate you whenever we're needed. How does that sound?
That's very comforting.
Okay, great. All right, so Mike, so we covered everything. I don't expect you to remember everything, but I will always tell you what happens next with every conversation we have. I've already scheduled a few homes for us to see. Let's go find you a home.
That sounds great.
All right, let's go to work. And that's it. That's basically a basic, common, covered everything buyer consultation. Didn't seem so bad, right? It's not so bad. I covered the buying process. I covered what he was looking for very briefly. I always like to cut these role plays short just by doing a recap. They usually are short because I do the pre-qualifying questions up front, so I kind of know what they're looking for. Plus, there's not that many options, right? If there's only 2 houses for me to show them, it wouldn't take that long to do it. And I gave them a lot of information. I gave them a lot of value. What did you guys think? I can see somebody, I don't know who that is. All right, well, this is the point in time where I ask if you guys have any questions. And it doesn't have to be buyer consultation related. It could be anything related. Anything is real estate related. So does anybody have any questions before we end?
How do you manage getting people back on track? People give you a list, and then they tend to send stuff that doesn't meet their criteria.
Yeah, and you know what? It gives me I have the ability to tell them, well, you told me that this doesn't work, and this house, like you said, you wanted central cooling. This house doesn't have central cooling, and they're like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. And then they tell you, well, I wanted a 2-car garage, and they send you a 1-car garage. And they're like, okay, well, are we more flexible? Are you willing to go see 1-car garages? It opens up discussions. it does limit us from wasting our time showing them homes we don't need to necessarily show. And of course, you could show it to them, especially if you didn't see the home and you want to see the inventory, then it's a good reason to do that. Yet, I will share with you guys, I do recommend and encourage you to preview homes before your clients for one major reason. How long does it take to show anybody a house? How long does it take us to preview? Previewing homes takes a lot less. You're talking 2, 3, 5 minutes to go in and out, look at the home. It doesn't take us that long to preview. Yet a consumer or a buyer can be in a house for a half hour, knowing as soon as they walk through the door, they're not buying this house. So I always encourage agents to go ahead and preview homes only for the sake of saving us time. Also, we get to see the inventory at the same time. So we're actually providing value and becoming more of an expert in the local inventory at the same time. I use the analogy where, seeing homes is not the same as seeing them online. It's not. And if you've heard it before, the clients, they tell us very, very often, it seemed bigger online, or it seemed like it needed less work online. And yeah, it's not the same. The pictures are 100% deceiving 100% of the time. The analogy I use is it's kind of like online dating. Right? Sometimes what you see online is not what you see in person. So it does benefit us as agents to go see these homes physically. We know the layouts. Sometimes you can't tell the layout from the pictures. We know the pros, we know the cons. A lot of times you'll miss the fact that it's on a double yellow line street. You can obviously see that there's no parking when you approach the property. You can see it's a corner lot when you approach the property. You can see there's any highways that make a lot of noise when you approach the property. So definitely encourage everybody to go out and see as many homes in their niche. Not every home everywhere. Pick a niche and be the expert in those niches, and start with one town and go from there. The one town generally suffices for any agent. Any questions, concerns, comments, issues, opinions? What you guys got? You got me for like 3 more minutes. All right, well, if you want to ask me anything at any point in time in the future, all you have to do is reach out to me. I always answer my phone. I always answer my emails, my text messages very, very quickly. So if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. It's always welcomed. And I also want to thank everybody for being here today, for spending a little bit of time with me, for allowing me to share with you. And I'm looking forward to the next time. All right, guys, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.